right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style, and today we have Miss Veronika with us. How are you, Veronika?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing amazing today. You guys, she has some awesome jewels that she wants to share with you today. And for those of you that choose to stick around to the end, you'll have a complimentary gift at the end. So stick around. Let's listen to what Miss Veronika wants to share with us. Veronika, just start us off by sharing a little bit about yourself and tell us one motivational quote that really inspires you, something that motivates you and encourages you.
Sure. So I am Veronika Newby. I am a former Miss Teen Pennsylvania International, also a model, a translator, and I work in the legal industry. And a motivational quote that inspires me every day is, before you were a person, you had a purpose. Why is that inspirational to me? Well, I picked it up in church, and it's very moving to me because a lot of times we get caught up in who we are on the outside as people. But I believe in my faith, and I'm very driven by that, and I try to really dive into the word often. And it really brings me back to earth to always think about, what is my purpose here? What did God put me on this earth for? Why am I here? Who am I here for? Who can I serve? Who can I help? As opposed to, this is my body and I'm a human being and it's just all outer, right? So a lot of times we get caught up in our gifts, and that's amazing. We all have gifts. We all have gifts from God, and we need to use those gifts. But outside of that, we have fruits. So, we really are who we are on the inside of our bodies as opposed to who we are on the outside. So I always bring myself back down to earth and think about faith, and it's, what is my purpose every day? And my purpose came before, my body came. And my body is, really harnessing my purpose. So I'm using my body to walk around this world and influence people in positive ways with my purpose. So that's really motivational for me every day.
Yes, I am so in line with that. And I often help people with discovering what their core life purpose is while also helping them to create a healthy body, because you're exactly right. You need the vitality and the energy at many times to carry out your purpose. And a lot of times people don't necessarily see that correlation, but I've noticed that when you take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything just kind of flows, So I love that. I love where your motivation comes from. We all know that not everything is always going to flow according to our initial plan. So can you talk a little bit about a time when perhaps you had a goal or a dream in mind, and there were external circumstances that came into play that you didn't foresee, that may have even derailed you a little bit, and how you were able to press through that and still be able to bring that goal or that dream to fruition?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a hard one because there are so many for us as women. So when I think about this, I try to keep it recent and sort of a troubling time that I'm still trying to get through. So I have a 2-year-old son, and I've always been very driven, motivated, in school, in my 9 to 5, working a professional job, but also an artist. I'm a professional salsa dancer too. So I've always just been in different levels of the world, just exploring arts, but exploring business, exploring languages. And I've always had a good flow in life, right? I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. So it was easy. It was easy to, at the time you think, oh, this is hard, but not until you get married and you have kids does it get really, really hard, right? So I was pregnant with my son, and emotionally, I had a lot of trouble. I definitely had postpartum depression after my son was born. And that was very challenging for me because you have all these expectations as a woman. You're like, I'm going to be the most amazing mom. I'm going to be the most amazing artist. I'm going to be in shape. I'm going to be the most amazing businesswoman. I'm going to be amazing for my husband, for my kids. I'm going to come home clean. So you think you have it all under control.
Right.
But your mind isn't there. everything sort of gets lost. And I got really depressed during my pregnancy, and I really had to take control of my life and say, wow, this is when it's really important to, X out all those negative spirits and, people and relationships, and really just keep the ones that are pushing you to be positive, pushing you to keep going. I stopped dancing completely, which is just so hard when you're so physically active all your life. That in itself can put you into a deep state of depression.
Yeah.
So I got really lost. And, it's also an interesting dynamic because I am a salsa dancer. So there's a lot of partner work. And when you're single, you can go out late at night. You can dance with guys and just really, put your art out there. But I was dealing with a new marriage, a baby on the way. So there were all these new dynamics of, wow, now I have to, really put other people on the forefront and think about, how does my husband feel about me, going out at night, dancing with males? What kind of image am I putting out there for my son? Because, the salsa industry can be like this, constantly driving you to, have sex appeal. And I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily want to be out there, like, in a little costume or out late at night. I was troubled. I was troubled with what was the next aspect of my career, from the legal industry, and also as an artist, and also as a model. I was like, I have a son on the way. I really can't be running off to New York all day, like auditioning for gigs. So I had to really change my direction, and I fell into a deep state of depression, and I didn't know what to do next. I lost control in the sense of, I was just always sad. I hated going to work. I hated, a time that you basically can't wait for. You think it's going to be the best, most exciting time. It was really stressful, pumping milk at work. I tried to do everything the natural way too. So I didn't want my son on formula. I was like, I'm going to be super mom. I'm going to have all the milk in the world. And when I was like sitting there at work, in the office, struggling to pump milk, and I was like running down the street, making sure my son had milk, it was very, very stressful. And I realized that I needed help. But I also, and this is not to pass judgment on anyone who decides to take medication, for any sort of mental disorder or depression. What I'm here for is to say that I think I lost you.
Yeah, repeat that one more time. You say what you're here to do is...
I'm here to really push females to get help. Whatever that help is, don't let yourself sink. Right. So what might work for me might not work for someone else, and vice versa. And I had the stigma against medication, and I wanted to do things naturally. And I felt that I could overcome, postpartum depression with exercise, with dance, with, faith, with being active in church, with, choosing another job that wasn't so stressful. I felt that I had that inner strength. If I could just surround myself with the right circle and really build my faith, I thought I could overcome it without medication. But that's not, against anyone who chooses to, seek help in other forms. The goal is to just get help and acknowledge it, because a lot of times you're looked down upon as a female. It's like, oh, you're this crazy emotional female, and like, you're crazy, you need help. And yes, we do need help, but it's important to not look down on other women. And before it gets to a really dark place, I think it's really important to be accountable for your emotions. So how I got out of that ultimately, and how I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, was I got help. I went to other females. I went to different groups. I went to church. I went to Christian-based psychologists. And I talked about my problems. I talked about my problems with other females. I talked about a way to also transition my dreams, because I felt like I was still stuck in that page of my life before I had my son, and I was struggling. I was struggling with like dreams that I didn't get to fulfill, right? So
Right.
I transformed my dreams. I said, okay, so maybe I won't be like, this single female out in the club anymore dancing, at late night Latin shows, but I can train kids. And I changed my career to, really inspiring people in the workplace, because I struggled being in the workplace as an artist. I struggled at my 9 to 5 sitting behind my desk. I was like being pulled, and I felt like God was like, there's more for you than being stuck behind your desk working for someone else. But I felt like I had to prove myself first and really show God, I can be out there following my path. So I chose to bring Latin dance in the workforce. And I saw at work, they would have like free massages on Fridays. And I was like, hey, let's do something fun where like a lot of the people in my 9 to 5, they were very closed-minded. They were there to get their job done. They really didn't have like more aspirations, and it depressed me. It depressed me for them. I was like, what do you do for fun? Like, let's get together. Let's create, unity. As maybe you don't want to be a professional dancer, but I think you have some gifts that can open you up to laugh, to move your body, to new things, to work with your coworkers, and at the same time inspire the workplace to see the benefits of having exercise in the workplace. Like, they weren't spending a ton of money on insurance claims anymore because people were up moving, and they were encouraged to do some activities. So that's really what pulled me out of that dark tunnel, to say, wow, this is a lot as a female, but what can I do with this chapter in my life?
Yes, and I totally agree with you also taking the time to find help too, because I think sometimes as females, we may have a tendency to believe that we need to do everything. And in all actuality, when you can find help in certain areas, it frees you up to create more time for yourself, or to focus on an area that you're naturally drawn to. So there are certain things in my life that I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. And I could say, well, I can't afford to have somebody help me in this area. When in all actuality, I can't afford it, because what it does is it allows me the opportunity to focus on something else that will create more opportunities, so that it makes it more easy to afford that thing that I thought I couldn't afford, So I think that sometimes just thinking outside the box and trying new things and seeing how we can change our perspective on certain stressors, instead of saying, oh my gosh, this 9 to 5 job that I need to go to, that I need to sit in traffic for example. I always use this as an example, because sometimes people will use traffic as a way of, oh, I can listen to my favorite podcast episodes. I can listen to my favorite music. When I'm at home, I don't have a whole lot of alone time. Somebody else may be disgruntled by that and say, man, I got to sit in this traffic and every song on the radio sucks. And people over there putting their makeup on and doing this and that. How does that really affect you? So I think that sometimes just changing our perspective on certain things, that job that's actually paying your bills. And you can look at it as, man, I have this 9 to 5 job, but it's actually paying your bills right now too. You could be in a different situation and be homeless under a bridge. So sometimes just taking things for what it is, but also looking at ways to create the opportunities that we want in our world. As you did, you saw that you could no longer fit a certain way of being a dancer, and you said, well, I'm going to use my skills and expertise to be able to serve this population over here.
Yes.
So it brings you joy,
Absolutely.
What would you say to those people, though, that don't necessarily have a very strong support system? Because as much as we could talk about getting help and seeking out support, not all of us have the emotional support, the financial support, or any kind of support from other people. We perceive that we don't have this support from other people. So what are some ways that we can actually think outside the box and get the support that we really do need to thrive?
Yeah, so I think the first step would be to have faith in yourself. And this might sound simple, but seriously, the first step is to pray about it. Like, pray about everything and put it into the world, you know, that you believe in yourself. And then the resources will come, because, you know, if you're reaching out to like a whole bunch of people who really are lost in life, that can really tear you down. And that can be more, you know, hard for you and detrimental to your goals and your self-confidence than you taking the time to figure out what are some good resources for me, right? So obviously, you know, if not everyone has that family support, and if you have a spouse, if you're married and it's a healthy relationship, that's a great resource to go to, because that person wants you to succeed and they will be honest with you, and hopefully they will always support you. But that's say, you know, there's plenty of women who are single and they're dating, or they're, you know, in other situations. So be careful who you share your information with, because just because you're dating someone and you love that person and you're close to them, you want to be careful that you're like not unequally yoked with that person, because people use things against you. You know, when you give your whole heart out to people and you're like, hey, I have a dream, I'm trying to start a business, but I'm struggling financially. Some people, you know, they will hurt you and they will throw it in your face. So be very careful with that. I would definitely say there's a lot of connections out here that you can feel when people, you know, are running a business professionally, or they're genuine, or they're honest. Here's a great example. You know, I connected with you, Ebonie, and I felt it. I researched, you know, I looked at the way you run your business. I look at the way you carry yourself. And a lot of times you can tell by the way someone carries themselves about how they will treat you too, right? Because it starts, they care about themselves. So you can tell, and that's a good key to use to really evaluate how people care about their own lives. Church has been really great for me. Some elderly people in church who have been through it in life, you know, they're great resources, because, you know, they care. They want to build the youth up, because, you know, our grandparents, sometimes if we have them, we're so blessed to go to them because they care about leaving a legacy. And I think it's a lot about legacy. It's all about leaving the legacy of what it is that you care about and your purpose. So you can meet women in groups. You know, there's so many bloggers out there. Social media, again, be careful about social media, because you can find anything and everything out there. But if you study the art and business of social media, as opposed to just like, some people use it as a time waster. They're on there like just looking for people to, you know, talk to, or they just think someone's good looking. But there are people who run a business like you, and that is their livelihood, and they care about it, and they care about changing lives. So you can find those resources if you know, really just put your mind to it.
Yeah, and I really think that you touched on something important, and that's really study and observe the person that you think you should trust with your personal goals and dreams. You know, I think that having that sense of discernment with people can carry you very far. And not to say that you need to, you know, go through 100-item checklist to make sure that person meets that 100-item checklist. But you can really tell a lot about the things that come out of someone's mouth, the things that they post, the style that they tend to project into the world, whether that's someone that's going to be uplifting or not. And I don't think that you even necessarily have to know someone for a very long time to form that relationship. I mean, when we spoke initially, I just automatically knew that you're a genuine person that wants to really positively influence other people. And so I knew that this is someone that's okay to connect with. There are some people that may put out lip service and act like they're putting out positivity, but in all actuality, they're not genuine about change. They're genuine about the change in their purse. You know? So I think that if you just pay attention to some of these things, you can really determine whether or not it's someone that is going to be a good fit for you to collaborate with or connect with.
Absolutely.
I'm actually going to include all of your contact information in the description box.
Yes.
but you can tell us real quickly, what are the type of people that you would like to collaborate with? Because there's going to be people that are listening to this from all over the world. And I'm sure that you would love to be able to connect with some of them on some kind of level, either now or in the future. So what are some things that you would look for in the type of person that you would collaborate with or just connect with on any future project?
Yeah, so I'm very open-minded because a lot of times what I might consider as someone to be a good collaborative partner, it might be a little different for that person. They might be like, hey, I have nothing to do with dance or the legal industry or, languages, but I still think I have something to talk about or something to offer, a unique project. So I'm open. I try not to, put any ideas in the box. I really just try to stay like an open field, but definitely artists. If you have a passion for art, anyone interested in the legal industry also, and just really rights and believing in the rights of humans and helping people progress. A lot of people, don't know where to go from a legal perspective. Languages. I speak Russian and Spanish fluently, and I teach kids. So I love kids. I love to tutor kids. I also started a confidence building group for boys and girls in schools in the Philadelphia area. So since I was a little girl, since I was probably 10, I started a platform called Involving Children in the Arts. And that wasn't really just about, oh, here's dance, learn about it, love it. It was also about building confidence. So I also come from a pageant background. And a lot of times people have, they don't really have positive thoughts about that. They're like, wow, it's all fake. It's all makeup. It's all showy. And yes, there is an aspect to that is, that's what it is. But also there's a whole other side. And I was attracted to it from the intellectual level that, wow, I can tap into this world to get scholarships.
Right.
I can use my platform. I can use my languages. I can connect with people who can't speak English. I can travel. I can find out what my purpose is and how I can serve better. So what I did with that was I started developing, pageant ideas, not only for women, but also for young boys, because young boys need scholarships too. They need confidence, boosting skills, how do we talk in class? A lot of kids are not exposed to this and they don't have those resources at home, and I would love to provide that. And there's nothing more that I love that. That's, my true calling. And, when I went back to work, when I had my son, I wanted to stay home so bad, but the roles were flipped in my family and my husband stayed home with my son and I went back to work. And, that hurt a little bit in my heart because, you're like, wow, you look at your whole life and you're like, okay, so things didn't really come out how I wish they would have, but I can change now. So I can influence, I can spend more time with my son at home. I can tutor him, and I can also encourage other parents to be present. So I really just want to connect with people who feel inspired by, anything that I have said, or I love connecting with people who have advice for me, right? Which good advice, criticism that's, really can help me, as opposed to, I don't like trashing people and putting people down. So there's a difference. So open to connecting with everyone who, can spread positivity.
Awesome. And for those people that are listening, I'm sure that they can see your heart and what you're looking to do, and they'll be the people that you attract into your circle. Yeah. And I often say that when we do extend ourselves to people, we notice that we will get more support than us just staying to ourselves as a recluse. I know that sometimes people will perceive social media as stranger danger sometimes, like, oh, I don't really want to ask that person that question, or I don't know how to network. And I often find that just by sending a simple message, you get response. And if they're not interested in responding, well, there are so many other thousands and millions of other people that will respond.
Absolutely. Yes.
Maybe the person didn't respond because they were busy. It could be for a multitude of reasons, but social media is such a awesome way to form relationships and be able to find people of like mind, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and connecting with us. I know that you are busy at work. You guys, this is a clear example of someone that's taken time and realizing that it's important to share her message. And if you have a message that you would like to put out there into the world as well, feel free to connect with me. There's so many people that feel alone in their situations and they don't know who to turn to, and they don't know that what they're going through is very normal.
Yes.
So if you want to share your story with other people around the world, please feel free to connect with me. You can also connect with me on an even more intimate level by joining my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. Is Nutrition the number 4, Busy Women, and you'll earn a complimentary gift just by joining. I'm all about people identifying what their core life purpose is and also how to live a whole and healthy lifestyle while doing so, because you need that vitality and energy to be able to carry it out and show us your greatness. So you'll be able to connect with me on a deeper level. I'm so glad that Veronika touched on that today, because I find that too often people are going through life on autopilot and they don't really have a clear sense of what really lights them up. So thank you again for encouraging us today. Do you have any last words of encouragement that you would like to share?
Yeah, so this might sound a little harsh, but it's not intended to be harsh. But I just want everyone to really know that time is against us. So our lives can change tomorrow. We're sitting here now, but we have no idea what the future has in store for us. Yeah. And, you know, so many people wait to really take their dreams to the next level, and years will go by. And I'm not saying, you know, you have to go quit your job today and run down the street and spend all your money on your dream, but don't overlook that time is going. And it's unfortunate, but the graveyard is a gold mine of dreams and aspirations of people that, you know, had so much in their minds and so many passions, and they didn't have the tools, and it's unfortunate. So if I can inspire anyone to just take the first step today, do it little by little, because, you know, time is against us, and, you know, we have to really just take control of what our dreams are and use our gifts, and remember that time is of the essence.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And I think that we all need to write that on a Post-it note and put it on our computers, post it on our wardrobes. That time is of the essence. And we tend to make more use of our time when we realize that.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, Veronika. I really do appreciate you. And for those of you that receive value from this, please share this to your family and friends, because I know that this is something that many of us can resonate with, living our life purpose and utilizing our skills and talents in such a way that brings us life and fulfillment. You guys have an awesome rest of the day wherever you are in the world, and I look forward to connecting with you in our next episode. I'll talk to you soon.